Good morning. Welcome to Let It Be Known. Hey, Stacy.
Good morning. I'm your host, Stacy Brown, the Black Press of America's morning show. What in the raisins inside the potato salad was that?
Huh? I think we were just showing how we spend our weekend celebrating Black joy, you know. You didn't
Right,
hear
right,
about the
right.
new you didn't hear about the new mandate all Black women and men have to get a fan? You didn't get that memo? You
Nah,
didn't get it?
yeah, I'm like Malik Yoba. Yeah, maybe I'm not a black man anymore. I didn't get the memo.
No, that was for them. Malik Yoba's comments was for them.
No, I
This is
know.
for us.
Okay. Okay. that that was I mean, look at this. Look at this. How cohesive America is without our cultural
Oh, you talk
influence.
about that one. Okay, see, you
That's the
know
one I
what?
was talking about.
I totally blocked them out. I didn't even see them.
See, I didn't think
I
you
didn't even
did.
see them. I ordered my fan this weekend. I didn't even see them.
Pa- RNG says not 1 ounce of rhythm was used in that line dance. Not 1 ounce. Listen, Neil, it's a lot going on, but we're gonna do something a little different. That got me. That sent me. It's like, the other day we were showing like I mean we have been showing, I should say, and we've seen, since Kendrick Lamar's performance at the Super Bowl, folks recreate that. Jasmine Crockett, even Dr. Chavis did it, and but they also had one in which these white women were trying to. It says something else. That's that what she just played with the, more so than anything else. The caption on that somebody needs to get a giant screen, like a 2,000-foot screen, and erect it at the White House, and just play it like it's the bat signal. Because I mean,
Hilarious. No, that's
it,
funny.
it's just
But
too on
you know what?
on
You know
point.
what? I'm glad we're starting off the show this morning. It's a Monday and we have joy. We don't know how we're
That
gonna
joy.
feel tomorrow, but right now we
Tomorrow,
have joy.
today is joy. Tomorrow is pain.
You never
Sunshine
know. I
and
stay by this
rain.
afternoon. you
All
know.
right, so here we go. We're gonna do something different today, and so we want the viewers to get involved in this. So something that Greer says recently occurred to her she can't shake, and what is that? It seems like black people have become nonchalant about losing their black card, and that's a problem. So, Niel, do you agree? Um,
After that video, I mean, we I mean, no, we have our joy.
but what
We
about
have our
audience?
black card. We have our we
We
do.
got it.
Look at that. Did you see that fan?
Yeah, I saw that, fan.
Mm. Some
What
of
about
us though,
audience?
I do agree some of us have. Some of us have. The MAGAs,
Oh my
the
gosh.
they've lost their black card. They really have.
So
Tiger
so folks,
Tiger Woods, he's lost his
oh my
black.
god. Did he ever have it?
I mean, when his daddy was here, he did.
Yeah, and you got a point there. I went out to Dallas, Texas. The PGA of America had built this their brand new home there, and they were during that week that I was there with the PGA. And I happened to be wearing a Pebble Beach shirt. Um, Tiger Woods was there to be inducted into Golf's Hall of Fame, or golf's version of the Hall of Fame. And he had his son Charlie introduce him, and he gave this the greatest speech he ever gave in his life. And he, for the first time and only time in his life that I can remember, and I looked it up when I wrote the story about it. This is like 3 years ago, 2 years ago. And he talked about the challenges he had growing up being black. And he never acknowledged being black, and that was the only time I've ever heard him acknowledge being black. And he talked about how he would sneak on to the golf course. He was somewhere, and he would sneak on to the golf course, with his dad. And the reason why he snuck, because black folks wasn't allowed to play on there. And he gave this really great speech about that and about blackness and stuff. And I'm thinking, is that really Tiger Woods? And I'm like, I wa- and he didn't take any questions, afterwards or whatever. But I wanted to ask him. I mean, is that you a clone? Have you been cloned? I mean, did somebody programmed you here today? Because it was a lily white event. I think it was me and maybe one other, no, a couple other black people, because the Dallas Cowboys greats like Emmett Smith and Too Tall Jones, I think, yeah, and a couple of
Who?
others
Okay,
was
remind
there.
us who Too Tall Jones is. I'm sorry.
Oh, former Dallas Cowboy football player, Hall of
Got it.
Famer.
Okay. Okay.
Emmitt Smith was there as well. I got to meet those guys. And in fact, we were sitting right there with Jerry Jones, other Cowboys or whatever. But there was probably about a total of five of about 150 people that were black in that room, and Tiger being the sixth. And I couldn't believe what I was hearing. And I
Mm.
went and did some research. We all have to do research before we do our news articles, right? I mean, I took a deep dive into if Tiger had ever claimed blackness. Had he ever said anything like that before? And I couldn't find anything.
Wow. Except his daddy.
So,
Except his daddy,
except
right? He can
right,
claim his
right,
daddy, right?
exactly. Now he
One
dating
time.
Donald
One time.
one time. Now he dating Donald Trump's ex-daughter-in-law.
Which is weird.
That's
Only
extremely weird.
because he was at the White House. So was he dating her then? And are the Trumps okay with it? Okay, moving on.
Listen.
Moving on.
Okay. But
Moving
anyway,
on.
folks, I want to ask y'all to answer that question. Have we become nonchalant about losing our black card? Please put it in the chat. What's your thoughts? Have we become lazy or have we become forgetful? Let us know, because black people, um, in the words of the great Greer, got to get on the same page.
It's so funny. I was having a conversation with a friend of mine, and he was talking about sometimes I'm just too black.
Oh,
And I got so ticked. He was like, everything is black, 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 black. And I was like, my mother says that to me sometimes too. Neil, you too damn black.
you're too
So
black.
I know this doesn't apply to me. It don't apply to me.
Oh my gosh. Well, hey, um, I don't know. Too black,
Well,
huh?
let's
Too black,
let's
too
ask,
strong.
what's the chat saying?
Yeah, what are they saying? We'll come back to it, but also we got a question too. Another question um is a quiz. So, what year, folks, did African American voters significantly shift their support to the Democratic Party? And just to be helpful, we have a multiple choice answer. Um, and also, you can also let us know what contributed to that change. So, was the year 1865? Was it 1936? 1948 or 1964? Again, 1865, 1936, 1948, and 1964. David Youngblood says 1968. So that means you're wrong this time, David. David is actually wrong one time. Wow. So put your answers there. We'll come back to that. Let me just say this too. I don't want to forget this. Don't want to overlook the fact that yesterday, uh, Mia Love, not Mia Long, Mia Love died. The first black Republican congresswoman out of Utah. She was 40, what, 6 years old or something like that. But
She died of
she,
brain cancer, right?
yeah, she was 49 years old. She died at her home in Saratoga Springs, Utah. Um, we've had, as you well know, 49. Yes, see, David had to correct the record. Um, the thing about Mia Love, we've had Mia Love. We have had on this program, as everyone knows, Black MAGAs, right?
Right,
And one of the question that we was trying to pose to the last guest that we had was the difference between a MAGA and a Republican. M- Mia Love was a was the one of the definitions, like Michael Steele. Mia Love was a Republican through and through. She was not MAGA. In fact, Mia Love probably lost re-election because she declared the fact that she couldn't go along with this MAGA stuff.
right.
And I remember Trump tweeting at her, "Too bad for Mia Love," or whatever. But she could not get on board with Trump. Initially, her problems, and they only grew with Trump, was the Access Hollywood tape, and then the other rhetoric, him attacking black women. So she maintained until her death yesterday that she was a Republican. She never wavered in that.
Hmm.
She called him a racist. She is a Haitian immigrant. Her family is Haitian
Right,
immigrants.
right. And we're going to be talking about immigrants a little later in the show too.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So this is what we meant when we was trying to understand, and we fully get that black folks have every right and are Republicans. There
For
is
sure.
eh, there's nothing, we're not saying anything is wrong with that. What we are saying, certainly what I'm saying is, when you black and you talking about MAGA, Negro, please. I mean,
Right there. I
look,
saw
they
something.
even go ahead.
I saw something that it's like we went from the Confederacy to the Klan to MAGA. Like that's the
Saw
pecking
that.
order. And
That's the
so
pecking
yeah.
order.
I mean, I've worked with Republicans back in the day. I had a really good friend named Shirley Hussar. She was a super delegate for the Republican Party. She's passed, rest in peace. But she was somebody that I could agree to disagree with as a Republican. And I watched her over the course of time when Trump won his first presidency have to push away from the Republican Party, kind of like Michael Steele is another prime example. They're Republicans, they're just not MAGA, and
Right,
they're not just going to go along to get along. And I really
right.
applaud Black people who
That's
say
it.
enough is enough. I am a conservative, I am a Republican, but I cannot condone or go along with these MAGA racist white supremacist practices that the Trump administration clan is inflicting on the United States. I applaud
Mhm.
all of those Black Republicans. I applaud
Yeah, and here's the thing with that, just to take it a little one step further. If you are benefiting, because many, I just believe many of them are getting a check. And if you are, to me, go, don't say anything. Stay off the radar if you can, because to go out and spew the hate and to try and defend the hate, really, against your own kind, is against anybody, really. But because you got to call out whatever injustice, right? But to see the oppression. Look at today. We see this text today. Pam Bondi, the Attorney General, is threatening Jasmine Crockett, and believe me, that threat is real.
you. Yeah.
'Cause she's been leading this thing against Tesla. Now, she's clearly was talking financially, not any physical thing, but um, Pam Bondi, tells her publicly, "You better tread carefully with your language. We're here to protect." She says, "We're here to protect Elon Musk. You better tread carefully." And so, what she's saying here really is that you really don't have free speech. What they are telling you is that you don't have free speech, and
No,
they will lock her up.
what they're telling us is they're gonna put us black people in our place. It's
100%.
beyond free speech.
It's
It's
beyond.
about putting people of color, particularly black people, in their place. We're
Mhm.
going backwards, not forwards.
Right, and that's why it's so, these Black history questions and things, these are so important because they don't look, it, they don't have this available anymore, and it's gonna get less and less, and you're not gonna be able to find any black owned or black themed books. You could barely do that now. Um, Lessons, that the HBCUs are in their sites. So, we do these Black history facts and with these questions that Greer's come up with now. Hey, you got to get it somewhere. And these may be almost these are easy questions or whatever, but if you don't if you're not uh using something, you lose it, right? So if you're not continually putting it in front of us, um we're gonna get swallowed up. So here we are. This stuff is These people are serious. They are serious about, and I agree with Trixie. She says both parties are full of it. I agree with that. That
100%, Trixie.
100%, 100%.
100%.
Our, I think more so our issue is when we're talking about this MAGA stuff. Again, we could care less if a person's a Republican or Democrat. It's that MAGA stuff. How does a black person identify? Like you said, you made the connection. I saw that too, from the Reconstruction KKK to MAGA. All that stuff fits right in. It's like a
Yeah,
straight line.
it's the pecking order. And that's what I'm saying. Donald Trump is glad. He is his father and his grandfather's ancestor. So he has gone, his family has the lineage of Confederacy, Klan, and now he has created the next great movement for white supremacy.
Yep,
He feels good about
100%.
that.
100%. And to everybody's point, Trixie's point, RNG says Pam Bondi is unqualified but weak. Democrats showed no opposition at her confirmation. A lot of Democrats are jealous of Jasmine Crockett. They will not defend her. And that is so true. We saw that plain as day, when we went to that press thing that the Congressional Black Caucus had, and all the Congress members came in. We were in this small room too, and all of them came in, and Jasmine Crockett sat. She went, sat on a couch, and sat back, and you let she let them say everything they wanted to say. Folks wanted to hear from Jasmine, but she was like, "We did hear from her, um, but you could hear it in their speech because a few of them talked about being social media stars, and you knew that was a shot
Mhm.
because she's more than just a social media star. She's like AOC, and even listen. I'm not on that, I know what's his name say he's not on that Bernie Sanders train and whatever, but he and AOC drawing 30,000 people. That's pretty incredible.
Well, I just
30.
think it speaks to people being unhappy and looking for an outlet and looking for the next voice.
Mhm.
And that's what you see. But I bet you're not seeing a lot of black folks show up to them, right? At least, you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah,
We're
you got
not
a
there
point.
yet. We're not there yet. And that's going to be the determining factor.
Mhm.
Us.
Yeah, Quinn says that he feels like the reason for defunding is to reallocate funds for his domestic and other personal investments. That's a part of it for sure. But
Mhm.
I mean, he could do that without the racism, but he's not, because like
But
you said,
that's
he's
what
created this new movement.
drives But yeah, that racism is what drives white people in this country. Not all white people, but it is just the driving force of America. It is the foundation of the America. It's the systemic design of it all. And he's just trying to
Mhm.
double down on that.
Yeah, he is. He's doubling, tripling, quadrupling down on it. My goodness. This is whew. She said, Patricia Jackson says, if they never use R&D, people may be surprised how they fall. Democrats and this wide tent overlooks blacks' needs. We are not all looking for handouts, want tax breaks, good neighborhoods too. Listen, um, the wealthy are the biggest welfare recipients there is. So, the handouts that they get. So, you know, let I understand. I'm not disagreeing with Patricia Jackson. What I'm saying is this: let's not refer to um, these social safety nets as handouts because we've all paid into it. And the biggest handouts go to corporate America. The biggest handouts go to people like Elon Musk, has gone
Mm-hmm.
to people like Elon
Mm-hmm.
Musk. So
Mm-hmm.
let's not even see, it's the language too, and how we speak and how we present stuff, and how like they've hijacked so much stuff. DE&I is now the N word, and all, woke is another expression of the N word. We've allowed them to do that. And when they say this handouts, and you hear a deranged Marjorie Taylor Greene talk about welfare and stuff like that. No, Brett Favre is a huge welfare recipient, obviously.
Right. And that,
So let's
yeah.
let's let's not get it twisted.
Yeah.
These Social Security, you pay for it, you earned it. In fact, you paid for all these years, 30, 40 years. The interest rate on that you should be getting, they won't even dare consider, but they want to take it away instead of saying, you know what, we took your money all these years while you was working, sweating, and everything else. Let's add some interest to that, some serious interest. We want to take it away. They told that the Republican guy got up on television the other day. I forgot which one. Um, and said, my mom is 94 years old. If she didn't get her Social Security check this month, it wouldn't bother her. So why should it bother anybody else? I'm looking at this entitled fool. Like, are you kidding? So anyway, folks, other news this morning, Neil, before we get too carried away. Of course, former heavyweight champ George Foreman died at the age of 76. Not only did George leave a legacy in the ring, um, having fought greats like Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier, but everyone loved the Foreman grill. He leaves behind a reported $300 million fortune and about 20 kids named George. All his kid's name was George. Some form of George. It was the girls was Georgette, Georgina.
Mm-hmm.
um, but no one who knows anything about boxing will ever forget um, his fight with Muhammad Ali out in Africa, and that was 1974 when Ali
Mm-hmm.
knocked him out in the eighth round.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing, people always ask this question: would Muhammad Ali have beaten Mike Tyson um, in his prime if Ali was in his prime and Tyson in his prime? And I said he did. He beat George Foreman. George Foreman was exactly Mike Tyson. In 1974, George Foreman was Mike Tyson before Mike Tyson.
Mm-hmm.
Ferocious. He had uh, a um, a a punch that, ooh, like Tyson said, everybody has a plan until they get hit, and that was the same George Foreman. George Foreman was unbelievable. This guy had and he was also tall, unlike Mike Tyson. That
Mm-hmm.
was the difference. He was tall. Tyson is a short man. with a powerful punch. But George was a big man with an even bigger punch, and you got hit. There was a fight he had with Joe Frazier when Foreman won the heavyweight championship of the world, and he hit Frazier so hard before Frazier went down. Frazier did a bunny hop. He went up and down 2, 3 times, and then he, he didn't know where he was at. Um, but question though, down goes Frazier. Yep, that was the famous Howard Cosell call when he knocked Frazier out. Down goes Frazier. Um, the question though, Niel, and to our audience, is professional boxing done? Is it over with? What do you think?
Um, I don't think so. I think you see a glimmer of that old, good old fight when Mike Tyson used to fight, Sugar Ray Leonard used to fight. I mean, it used to be something to look forward to. I
Mhm.
think you see that every now and then, like with the Floyd Mayweather, even when Mike Tyson came back last year to do that exhibition fight. I mean, we were still excited about it. We still want to see it. So I just think there might be someone on the rise that we don't know about that's going to spark that nostalgia that makes you want to go to Vegas and be a part of the excitement. But you still have it right now, I guess, with I'm not what's his name, Floyd Mayweather. If he was to come out and
Well,
do a fight, I
yeah,
think it's
and
still there. It's hard to find. It's like a little sparkle, but it's still possible for it to come back.
so you're optimistic.
Yeah, I'm optimistic. But so many people over the weekend were showing their love, from athletes to celebrities, just talking about sharing pictures of their experience with George Floyd. I mean George Foreman.
Foreman.
George, I got George Floyd on the mind. Um, but so many people from social media, athletes, celebrities were posting their pictures with Foreman. I mean, even politicians were. So he definitely made an impact on the culture, just not in the ring, but also with his
Mhm.
humanitarian work and even pop culture with that George Foreman grill. Everybody had one at one point in time.
So, a couple of things. Orange G says that Foreman was the villain in the Ali versus Foreman fight in Zaire because Africans did not like Foreman because Foreman brought a German Shepherd with him to Zaire. Those dogs were used to terrorize blacks, and the Africans knew about it. And that part, but Ali really made him the villain. And Ali was a master of mind games, and he would, like Mike Tyson, he'd have you defeated before you stepped into the ring. And one of the big breaks in that fight is that the scheduled fight, the initially scheduled fight was postponed because of an injury. I believe Foreman suffered, and so they wound up staying in Zaire for an extra few months, and Ali really rallied basically entire country against Foreman. So Foreman was beaten before he went into the ring. Floyd Mayweather fights be boring, says Trixie. I agree with that. 100%. I think Neil, you said it best. You started you were on that line because back when boxing was, and Orangey says boxing is dead, pay-per-view killed it. The days of Hagler versus Hearns, Leonard was the last golden age of boxing. That's exactly where I was going, because you had in every division almost, you had superstars, not just one or
Right.
two, but you had a handful of superstars in every division. So every fight was pay-per-view worthy, if you will.
Hmm.
But it was, you'd see it on Wild World of Sports. It
Right.
was
Right.
accessible to everybody.
Remember, you
So
used to have to pay for the fights on HBO or Showtime,
HBO, Showtime, yeah.
and you had to, and that was the thing. Like, who's coming over to watch the fight? Sometimes your families
Right,
would take up money, and we got to
right,
pay for the fight. Who's hosting the fight tonight?
right,
It was a
exactly.
good
And,
time.
and I think UFC and all that stuff has really bit into boxing. I think that that's been part of the downfall of boxing. Of course, the lack of talent, or the lack of of any, maybe not lack of talent. Maybe I shouldn't say that. Maybe I should say the lack of a star. You had, like I said, all these stars. I- Gosh, every time you turn the TV on, back in the 80s when there was a boxing match on, there was Ali, there was Ray, and there was Hagler, there was Duran and Benitez, and you can go on and on and on. It was always somebody interesting. And of course, one of the smartest things Muhammad Ali did in his career was never to fight George Foreman again. So, as you see that Sports Illustrated cover, he said, "I want
Right.
Ali again." Yeah, Ali was smart enough to know that that wasn't something. And they fought. Folks would fight 2, 3 times. Ali fought Jimmy Young 3 times. He fought Ken Norton 3 times. Ken Norton broke Ali's jaw. He fought Frazier 3 times. But he fought George Foreman just one time. Enough was enough.
Right. Well, there's a movie called Big George Foreman. So if you want to just look at his life and legacy, and his growth into an entrepreneur, you can go check that out. It's streaming on streaming platforms. It's called Big George Foreman. But Stacey, we have a guest here. So we've been wanting to talk about reparations. It's a conversation that continues to grow across the country now that the GOPs are in control. They are really looking at how to stop the conversation from going. But we know Ayanna Presley has it in federal Congress. She reintroduced HR 40. But here in California, reparations is a huge topic, and California has been the state to push the conversation the most. So, joining us now is a person who sat on the reparations task force as they were determining what reparations looks like for Black folks. And he was the first to introduce bills to actually show what reparations looks like. So, let it be known, family, welcome former California State Senator Stephen Bradford. Welcome to Let It Be Known.
Thank you. Appreciate the invitation. How are you doing this morning?
We are doing good. So one of the Black press newspapers, the Sacramento Observer, they're talking about the state of California Black Caucus revealed its 2025 reparations bill package. But before we get into it, I want to go back and talk about the two bills before you left the California legislative, the two bills that you presented, and what your thoughts on the bills that are on the table now.
Well, there were three bills that I presented last year that are reparations. First was
Okay.
1403 to stand up a agency, whether you call it the Freedmen Affairs Bureau or whatever you choose to call it. You needed an agency to oversee whatever reparations would be. The other one was 1050, dealing with the racially motivated taking of property from African Americans in this country for over 200 years. And 1331, which created a funding mechanism outside of the state funds. It would have allowed for corporate and philanthropic funding to pay for reparations. So those were the three bills that I had. And unfortunately, the last week of session of 2024, the last week of August, first day of September, they were held. Well, 1050, which again dealt with the racially motivated taking of property, made it off the assembly floor with 72 votes to the governor's desk. And unfortunately, the governor chose to veto that bill.
So what are your
You
thoughts
mentioned,
on the
oh,
two
go ahead.
bills now?
Well, I haven't looked at them all in its entirety. I'm excited about the fact that the Legislative Black Caucus is again moving forward with 16 caucus priority bills. Last year, we had 14 that were caucus priorities, 1403, SB 1403, again, which was my bill that stood up the agency, was part of that priority package. Unfortunately, again, for reasons I still haven't wrapped my head around, that bill was held the last week of session based on rumors, because I never heard it from the governor's office or the governor himself that he would veto the bill. But according to the Black Caucus, that was the sentiment, that the bill would be vetoed because I refused to take amendments that pretty much watered down the bill. So I know Assemblymember Weber has introduced two bills similar to what I had last year, as well as Assemblymember Tina McKinnon, who floor jockeyed 1050 for me last year. She has reintroduced that bill in its entirety, the exact same language that I had, again, dealing with the racially motivated taking of property. So I'm excited about that, and hopefully we'll stay united as a caucus and move them forward this year better than what we did last year.
Hey, you just broke it down really well, I think, Senator Bradford. But the governor seems to be now the biggest obstacle. How do you overcome this obstacle or any other obstacles you might see to finally get to a place where we are really Californians anyway are really seeing reparations?
Well, I don't think it's the governor. I think it's the sentiment in this country right now, even though there's been numerous polls, almost 60% people believe that some form of reparation should be paid to the descendants of chattel slavery here in this country. I think the overall sentiment of this nation with what you see in Washington, D.C. right now, trying to disband DEI and woke and removing books from schools and even removing our history. I mean, to remove Jackie Robinson's military records off of
Colin Powell.
Colin Powell, you name it, it makes absolutely no sense. So I'm just wondering the temperament and the appetite for the country, because the nation was watching us last year. I was part of the National Black Caucus of State Legislators, and I was getting contacted from legislators all across the country watching what California was doing. Even New York implemented a task force similar to what we did, to move forward reparations. States like Florida and Illinois were also closely watching what we were doing, and it left a lot of my colleagues across the country in great dismay to say that, wow, we can't do it in California. What's our chances in these other places? So hopefully we will be able to move this forward and overcome the overall sentiment of just trying this racial division and again, this lack of needing diversity and recognizing our history and really trying to whitewash our history. So I'm hopeful, and I know the caucus is committed to moving forward. So we just have to support them and make sure those bills get to the governor's desk and we get a signature on.
So a lot of the states want to do studies similar to what, the state of California did. And so I want you to touch on, like, what does reparations look like? I know we talk about this a lot, but, the first concept was 40 acres and a mule. But what does reparations look like today for Black folks per all the research that the committee did?
Well, understanding I was part of 9 members on that task force. It was a 2-year task force. We held hearings all up and down California, and the final report came out in June of 2023 with 115 recommendations. So it looks like a myriad of things, but I've always held fast that reparations should closely mimic the GI Bill, which we all know provides ongoing health care, continued education, first-time home buyers assistance, various tax breaks and business loan opportunities. That's what I've always said reparations should be about. And many times we got off track because many people were always saying, where's my check? As you clearly stated, reparations was initially never about a check. It was about 40 acres and a mule, because that's how generational wealth is really passed on in this country. So that's why I was so adamant about 1050 and dealing with the racially motivated taking of property, because we saw it and continue to see it all across this country. That's why I was happy to be the author 3 years ago of legislation that returned Bruce's Beach to the African-American family who had it stolen from them in 1924. People who legitimately bought property, owned it, and did everything they were supposed to do, only for a racist city council to take the property away from them. So that's what I want reparations to be, first and foremost, about how do we allow folks to own land, because there are individuals who have lived in this country for 3 and 4 generations who have never owned property, not only in California, but in the United States. So that's what I'm hoping reparations looks like. But again, I hope it mimics the GI Bill, because we need ongoing health care. We need ongoing continued education. We see the disparities that exist in all those sectors of life, and it impacts African Americans far greater than any other group in this country.
Couple quick things. Senator Bradford, David Youngblood mentions, he says hello. He says you're his former colleague and as a staffer. He remembers you there. And Mike V is asking, he says, you hallmark the Black Servant Institution as California doesn't have an HBCU. Under the Trump administration, how can California protect Black servant institutions against the anti-DEI affirmative action movement?
By Stand United, yes, I passed SB 1348 last year, which establishes Black serving institutions on any community college, UC, or CSU that has an enrollment of at least 10% African Americans or 1,500 students. And that is an institution that will be welcoming, not only welcoming, but supportive of one's college experience and making sure that they have all the wraparound services that they need to be successful. And no, we're not competing with HBCUs. I made that very clear because, again, this was model legislation that was endorsed just this past December at the National Black Caucus of State Legislators Conference. They're very much supportive of it, and other states are going to try to embrace it as well. But again, we need to be vigilant. We need to make sure people are aware that this now exists, this designation exists. But we also need to support our college presidents. And I'm so excited about President Parham from Cal State Dominguez Hills, President Curry from Compton Community College, as well as President Luke Woods from Sac State, who were staunch supporters in moving forward and making sure that their colleagues know about this designation and that they do everything they can to help stand it up. I'm honored to say that I was just appointed by the President Pro Tem of the Senate to be part of that 9-member task force that will help oversee what Black serving institutions look like and making sure that they succeed in their goals, and not only making sure that African Americans enroll in college, but they're successful in graduating and completing their coursework as well.
Senator, I'm sure you've heard some say, and I hear it a lot, but I wonder your response to those who say we need to just at least table or just forget about reparations and that fight and focus on something else because reparations will never happen. How do you respond to that?
I argue contrary to that. Reparations can happen. We have to have the will. People need to understand the history. We paid reparations to Europe and to our Jewish brothers and sisters after World War II. The Marshall Plan that rebuilt Europe, that was a form of reparations. We have paid reparations to our Japanese brothers and sisters who were interned during World War II in this country. That was reparations. We've also now provided opportunities for our Native American brothers and sisters, the original indigenous people of this country, to have supportive programs to help them. That's reparations. What you see with tribal gaming all across the state and all across this nation is a form of reparation. So why, when it comes to African Americans, we always say we have to wait? Oh, that's so long ago. Get over it. Let's move on. No, this is a debt that was old, that was promised, and it's 160 years overdue. And so I say we need to stay vigilant and committed to making sure we are compensated in some way, because a lot of people are unaware that those slave owners, those plantation owners who owned all those slaves, they were compensated. They were paid for every slave they lost because those slaves were insured. The slavery industry slavery was what stood up the insurance industry in the late 1700s and the early 1800s. Those slaves, every slave that was transported to this country, were insured. And when the Emancipation I can't even talk right now. I'm sorry. Emancipation Proclamation was signed. Those slave owners were paid for those slaves that they lost. So I say, no, we need to know the history. We need to know the truth, and we need to keep fighting.
It just made me feel good because I can't pronounce nothing. You made me feel better about myself.
and I totally hear you and agree, but just looking at the state of our nation right now under a Trump administration, is that really obtainable right now?
It's going to be challenging. I think we missed a golden opportunity at the end of last year. That's true. And now we have a whole different mindset, a whole different approach when you look at what's happening in Washington, D.C., and it's going to make it tougher. But I now calls for profiles and courage. Now that's why we need to stand united and strong right now. Now it's, a real test of what leadership looks like. So I'm committed to and happy to see what Washington D.C. is still doing, again, trying to move H.R. 40 forward. And we in the Black Caucus, my colleagues who have left behind are still there. They're moving forward in a unified fashion. So we need to do that and make sure that our so-called allies that don't look like us stay true to their commitment that they've signaled to us that they support reparations. So we need to hold them to that.
I like that. So-called allies. You're not giving them. You're not giving it to them. You're basically saying prove you're allies. I like that.
We have a few that talk good talk, but don't walk the walk. So I remember when we did a bill. I had a bill on police reform 4 years ago, shortly after George Floyd, and we did a demonstration on the steps of the Capitol. 72 of my colleagues took a knee on the west steps of the Capitol in honor of George Floyd. But when it came to moving that bill forward, we couldn't get the votes. It took a whole year to move that bill forward. So I said, what happened to those many that were on the steps that took a knee with us that morning? But when it came time to voting for that bill, they found reasons why they couldn't support it. So we need true allies right now.
Well, yeah, they took a knee. They took a knee on the vote. So, oh gosh. Well, I think it's extremely commendable what you're doing and what the folks in California have been doing with this. I know that you have some folks there that are really really in this to the end, and it's good to know that you have some soldiers standing beside you.
So go ahead, Steve.
No, I'm just saying, yeah, there was tremendous support over the 2 years that we had the task force hearings all across California. It's many people who truly, truly have embraced reparations and helped us move the findings forward. And I challenge everybody to read the report. I know it's 1,500 pages, but if nothing else, read the executive summary. It spells out what California's role was in slavery, and we do owe a debt to those individuals who helped build not only the state but this nation as well.
So now that you've left the legislative caucus and just politics from a senator's standpoint, what's next for Stephen Bradford?
Well, I'm still engaged. As I tell folks, being elected doesn't prevent you from doing the work. And many times you say, oh, you're elected, you're a politician. I say some of the greatest politicians were never elected. People like Dr. Martin Luther King and Malcolm X, they never held elected office, but they moved the political agenda and the needle far greater than anybody. At this point, I am a candidate for lieutenant governor. I'm excited about that opportunity. I'm here today because of the only Black lieutenant governor that the state has ever had, and that was the late, great Mervyn Dimely, who served both in the Assembly and the Senate. Matter of fact, he was the first Black senator we had in the state of California, as well as in the U.S. Congress. So it's through his leadership, his mentorship, that I'm here today. So I would be honored to carry on in his footsteps and serve as lieutenant governor in the state of California.
Thanks. All right. Well, Stephen Bradford, the former California State Senator who is running for lieutenant governor, all the success, especially as you've continued to fight on this hot topic of reparations. We appreciate you.
Well, we appreciate your coverage on this because we need media outlets like yourself and voices like yourself to keep it at the forefront of not only California, but the nation as well. So thank you.
Thank you. Stephen Bradford, thanks thanks for joining us. That was it's good to see that folks do stuff, are doing stuff that they really believe in, despite he understands that the obstacles are huge, particularly with what's in office, in Washington. So the fact that he's not backing down, the fact that they're not backing down, you have to tip your hat to him. You have to pull for him.
Oh yeah, he did an excellent job. The committee, the reparations task force out here did an excellent job making it available and open to the public with several hearings for participation. They delivered their report, and they're definitely still moving the ball forward in conversation about what reparations looks like. So I definitely applaud him for that.
Yeah, and
That
remember,
was a big move on his way out.
yep. And remember, folks, we want to see your answers in the chat. What year did African American voters significantly shift their support to the Democratic Party? And again, it was a multiple choice um, answer, and it was 1936, 1948, 1964. What was the other year? 18 something,
1865. It was
1865.
1865. Yeah.
Right. So pick one of those years. Yeah. 1865, 1936, 1948, 1964. Which one of those years where Democrats, where black folks significantly shifted their vote to Democrats? We want to hear your answer. And speaking of black, we touched on this earlier. Neil, actor Malik Yoba says he no longer identifies as a black man. He will now identify as a non-white man.
I thought it was interesting. I thought it was provocative what he said. Do we have a clip of it?
Yeah, I believe we might. We just might. But
I thought it was
as
pretty
we
provocative.
mhm.
Decided
I
that
thought so. There you go.
no longer a person of color, BIPOC, none of that shit. What I am is a non-white man. And I think we should all just start calling ourselves non-white. So they're gonna have to figure it out. They'll just say that shit explicitly. No DEI, no BIPOC, no references to our blackness. So we just all walk around like, I'm not a black man, I'm a non-white man. I'm a non-white woman. I'm a non-white, all of us. Asians, Latinos, black people, everybody. Call it what it is. I'm just non-white. And let them rebuke that. Let them refute it. So
What do you think about that? What do you think
Lauren
about
writes
that?
in whatever, bro.
What do you think about that, Stacey?
I get, thank you. I get it. I totally get it. I understand why he's doing that, why he's saying that. But the bottom line is you're a black man. You get um who did I watch? It was one of the comedians. Uh the bottom line is i- i- if a police car is behind you, he's seeing a black man. That's the bottom line.
Mm,
I get it. I get what he's saying though. He yes, Mike V. He is trolling white folks. I get it.
yeah. Yeah, he is.
So I get
Yeah.
that, but go
I
ahead,
mean, I
Neil.
just think it brings up a bigger conversation of the difference between race and class.
Hmm.
I know Kyrie Irving is trending as well because he went on a rant about being judged by the color of your skin. And he was saying that's just the stupidest thing that white folks can do. You know, like racism is stupid. And so I just think that people are having these conversations and just trying to understand the difference between what race is versus what class is and even
Right.
identity.
Hmm. Well, listen, it's part. It's one small, tiny part of the pushback. I get that very much, because pushback has to happen, and this is one small little piece of it, and it's more frustration than anything is what I got out of Malik Yoba.
Right. Right.
And Kyrie, yeah, of course he's right. One of the dumbest thing ever is racism, right? It is.
Right.
I always say, and you can put this to the test, whether it's racism or anything else. When you hate someone or something so bad, um, you're going to hurt yourselves in some way. May not be the big way. Sometimes it is. Could be a small way, but you're going to hurt yourself for hating so hard. I always believe that. And white
Right.
folks who are racist, anybody who's racist has hurt themselves in some way.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you hear
Yeah,
that saying, cut your nose they cut their nose off to spite their face, and they have given up opportunities because of their racism. They have lost
yeah.
opportunities because of it.
I think a really good movie that even I'm gonna go back and watch is Origins by Ava DuVernay. And it takes on the conversation of like what Malik Yoba is saying, Kyrie Irving, and Origins is based upon race and class, and it kind of breaks down that whole systemic process of how it's looked upon in different countries. So I mean, if you haven't seen it, I recommend going to see that movie. I recommend that it should be a class lesson for the Trump administration for them to understand what really all of this is about.
Listen, see, Mike V, that's my point. He says racism is not sustainable, nor is it scalable. It cost the U.S. billions in lost revenue because of lost productivity from system discrimination. Exactly. That's exactly my point. And speaking of like TV shows and stuff, so we was watching. My wife and I was watching Will Trent. Um, and I like Will Trent. But the subtleties that in television shows and movies and stuff is enough to make turn you off from them because I don't think I can watch it anymore. Um, the black is a black woman detective, young black woman. She's probably about 40. Strong. She came into the character strong and really and really intelligent and all. She's with the Georgia Bureau of Investigations. And she's what? She's a single mother. Her son is grown though, right? And she does well. This white detective gets divorced, and he needs a roommate. She moves in with him. Why does she have to move in with him? Right? Why does this strong black woman need to move to save money? Right? And now there's the storyline goes. Now her son has gotten uh, caught up and he wants to be a rap music producer. Now he's caught up in what? Selling drugs. Stereotypical stuff. This is why we miss stuff like A Different World and The Cosby Show. This is what. And another show that I've been watching um is Hannah. I really like that show. Now they have this black character, really cool black girl, um but then she turns on Hannah against her own interest. It's like the stuff that they put Hollywood does. Oh, I can't get with. That's why there's a lot to that hole. We don't need to go down this rabbit hole, but that whole all of a sudden Bill Cosby got all these charges because he was buying NBC.
Mm,
I'm just saying. Let me sip my
mm.
tea.
Well, we have a few more headlines to get through this morning. So I have a couple quickies. Let's jump into it. The Nation of Islam is asking for prayer this morning for the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. He's set to undergo a medical procedure today, and they're asking for prayers of success.
How
So
old is Minister Farrakhan? Do you know?
no, not
He
off the
seems like
top of my head.
Farrakhan seems like he's been around for like ever. And he seems, every video or photo I've seen of him, he never ages. The guy looks the same today as he did, when uh Elijah Muhammad was alive. He doesn't age.
Mhm. He looks good, but we definitely want to keep him on the prayer line. And as we know, this is a holy time for Muslims as they are celebrating Ramadan, and of course, Christians are celebrating the Lenten season. In other news, In just a decade, Stacy, Gen Z is expected to become the largest and richest economic force by 2035. Now,
Wait,
according
who's
to a
Gen
recent,
Z?
I'm going to get to that. Just
Okay.
hold tight. According to a recent Bank of America report, the youngest generation of workers are projected to make over 74 trillion in income by 2040. Now, Gen Z, also known as I generation or Zoomers, are born between 1997 and 2012. So right now,
Okay.
they're the ages of between 13 and 28.
Okay. So I have kids born within that time, so I can expect them to be rich.
And so, as we were having those a conversation maybe a week or two ago about that's the generation that they are really in control of their time. They don't work over 5 o'clock. They do their job, no more or no less than what is required of them.
They got it together on that front
So
for
they're
sure,
the
right?
ones that don't go above and beyond, but they're projected to make the most in the next 10 years. So maybe they teaching us something. Maybe we need to start taking notes
Maybe
from them.
right, exactly. And by the way, Shonda H says Minister Farrakhan is 91 years old, and Orange E says he's not a fan of Farrakhan's, but his interview with Mike Wallace, I was just talking about that, about Nigeria being a corrupt nation, is one of the best interviews ever. I don't know about the interview, but it certainly was one of the best responses ever. I mean, he went in on Mike Wallace, went in hard, and was 100% correct. Nothing he said was either rhetoric or wrong in response to Mike Wallace.
Yeah, definitely.
I hold that up. I love speeches. I love good speeches, and I love little good short ones too, not those 2-hour ones, but that and the Malcolm X, who taught you to hate yourself. Those things, they are, and Muhammad Ali gave some of the best speeches you'd ever hear from an athlete. Period. Love that stuff.
You talking okay, Muhammad Ali. Yep, I know. I think when we think about Minister Farrakhan, and we've been talking about hypocrisy and things like that. I just always go back to when Barack Obama was president and he wasn't allowed to have Jeremiah Wright or Minister Farrakhan at the White House, and look at all of the Klan and white supremacists and white nationalists that have just taken over the White House.
He ended Arsenio Hall's show because he had Farrakhan on. Remember that? That was the demise of the Arsenio Hall show. He had to close up shop.
Now Steve Bannon is a political pundit on all the news shows. He's able to go on all the news shows and talk that rhetoric. It's just
Yep, absolutely.
But to lighten things up, let's head to Miami. Okay, a little fun. Miami-Dade commissioner is planning to rename streets after iconic Miami artists and songs. For example, Betty Wright, no pain, no gain. Trick Daddy, Trick loves the kids. Trina, still the baddest. Luke
Wait a minute, time out.
Get one, Young Miami.
Well, Luke got to get one.
Yeah, Luke got it. But this will be interesting to see how the governor goes along with this because
right.
I mean, it's just the opposite of what's happening. I don't know how this is gonna go.
I can't imagine. No, wait. Trick loved the kids.
Trick loves the kids.
What? I don't know that I want to live on the block that the street is Trick loves the kids.
Well, maybe it's his kids that live on the street. I don't know.
Oh my God! And Betty Wright,
no pain, no gain. Okay.
Right, and I might be able to get with that. No pain, no gain. What they gonna wait? You mentioned Luke. What is it? Tootsie Roll Boulevard? I mean, what?
Let's see what Luke says. I'm not sure what Luke saw. I just picked 3 because it's a long list. Well, it's not that long, but it's long enough. It's a lot of streets. And usually, it's one street. Like okay, Crenshaw's gonna be named Nipsey Hussle Square. But he has a list of anybody that came out of Miami.
Wow.
And they're all black.
That is so interesting. Oh, we got to see where that winds up, especially in Florida. That I just can't
Yeah, or
imagine.
maybe we should try to get the commissioner on to come talk about
Yes,
it.
yes,
That's a
that would
good
be
one.
awesome. Wow, he got to spell out for us, like when it gets to Luke and some of the others that are Florida down there. Whew, okay.
And those are your hot topics for today.
Okay, and another documentary, RNG says is coming out, and it's about Magic City, the black strip club in Atlanta. He says he is safe. He don't donate. Wait, so he's marked straight safe from Magic City, but this is Mr. Freaknik. That if you scour the Freaknik documentary, he's in it. He is definitely
Oh,
in the
really?
Freaknik. Oh yeah, oh yeah. He couldn't
I mean,
escape
is this
that
a
one.
joke or is this real? Because I did see
Oh,
it.
listen. I'm sure if you look for him, you'll
Oh, so
find him in there.
okay, but this is not confirmed. You're just hypothetically saying this.
Well,
Is he really in the
I think he's
documentary
in
or are
it.
you
I
just
think he's
playing?
in it. I No, I'm not playing. I think he's in it. I think he's up in there. You're gonna find him. So tell me about it. Um, okay. So yeah, yeah. He says was free long live in 1994. Yeah, he was down with that. Nonetheless, before we get to the answer to our question, which we only got a couple of responses so far, still I want you guys to put in the chat what year did the Democrats, did blacks pretty much make that switch? On this date in Black history. In 1837, Black people were granted the right to vote in Canada.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Go ahead, Canada. And it's Women's History Month. So we still are celebrating the ladies. I see it's gone, but I think it's very important. Today is the birthday of the Honorable Miss Dorothy Irene Heights. She
Mm,
is definitely one of my sheroes. So,
okay.
and the interesting thing, I was introduced to her at her funeral. I didn't know about Dorothy Heights. I didn't, I wasn't Black history historically inclined. And so Barbara Perkins, who is just one of the national leaders across the country, she wanted me to film her funeral. It was televised nationally at First AME Church here in LA. That was founded by Biddy Mason. And so I was introduced to this wonderful lady, learned about the National Council of Negro Women, and it just opened up so much for me. So definitely want to honor
Mm.
her today for Women's History Month. Yes, the honorable. And you know what my favorite picture is when she's sitting in the White House talking to Lyndon B. Johnson with her legs crossed, reading him
Okay.
the 411.
There you go.
She's
What's the
arguably one of the
411?
big six, but during that time, women weren't at the forefront of the civil rights movement. But she was the quiet storm behind pushing the movement forward. So definitely want to honor Dorothy Heights this morning. And then on this day in 2002, there she is right there too, Dorothy Heights.
Hmm.
And then on this date in 2002, Halle Berry became the first Black woman to win an Academy Award for Best Actress for her performance in the movie Monsters Ball.
All right. There you go. And
There she
our
is with that
there
beautiful dress, iconic night.
Oh boy, Hallie. Everybody loves Hallie. Our black-owned newspaper of the day is we're gonna stay in Florida for it. It's the Florida Sentinel Bulletin. In 1919, General William W. Andrews founded the Florida Sentinel in Jacksonville, Florida. It folded though during the Great Depression, but in 1959, Mr. Andrews bought the Tampa Bulletin and merged the two papers, which then became the Tampa, Florida Sentinel Bulletin. Next month, on April 19th, the Sentinel will have served the Tampa, Florida community for 8 decades. It is the
Wow.
only African American publication in Florida that owns all its printing equipment. And that is so
Oh,
cool.
wow. Yeah, that's cool. Now
Yeah.
that's super cool. Working at the Sentinel and knowing how, they used to send the paper to the printer and then
Right.
printer. That is huge.
Isn't that something? They own their own. That is fantastic. That's what I'm talking about. I mean, the cost of ink is so expensive,
Claps
though, but
all around for that one.
yeah, yeah. So, hey, look, it's the history of black owned newspapers is just so rich. It's extreme. Folks, do some homework on that, if you will. It is amazing. Of course, check out the Florida Sentinel Bulletin on its website. We all got websites, and also check out your local black-owned newspaper. I'm sure you'll find one near you within a certain radius anyway of where you live, and of course,
Yeah.
blackpressusa.com. How about that? All right, so folks, I saw some answers in the chat to our trivia question. I see where Inferno 932 says 1936, Orange G says 1968, and there were some other responses earlier on. I think somebody else said 1940 something, whatever, but um, there was a few answers. Um, and well, we also have to ask the question, who is losing their black card today? But the answer to that question, though, is in 1936, during his presidential reelection, FDR got 71% of the black vote. No Democrat had ever done that. And Democrats in those days were generally white, segregationist politicians, and they ruled the South. The short answer is the New Deal. That's why he got 71% of the black vote. It was a recovery plan after the Great Depression that promised social welfare reforms to help everyday Americans get on their feet. And of course, civil rights champion Mary McLeod Bethune campaigned for FDR in key states with large black populations. So there you have it, Niel.
Yeah, Mary McLeod Bethune was the founder of the National Council of Negro Women who passed the torch to Dorothy Irene Heights. So it's all relative right there. All relative.
Oh boy. David says it did not help black peoples, and he put S at the end of peoples. So he was serious about that. Peoples. He is not playing around. So the black card, Neo, anybody who's gonna lose their black card today, Neo? What's happening? Austin said something was going to happen at 7:45 an hour ago. So uh I haven't seen any alerts come. Austin hasn't filled us in on what he meant by that. He knew something was coming.
I
So
don't know who's going to lose their black card, but I know that all eyes are on March Madness
it is
tonight.
tonight. What's happening
Tonight,
tonight? Who's going
USC.
on?
Yeah, USC is coming in strong. I don't even know who they playing. I just know Juju Watkins hits the court tonight. Okay. And that's all that
Oh,
matters.
she got injured the last game. She heard
Slightly, but you know why I love her? She's my little Kobe Bryant, because when they asked her, she said, nobody cares. Nobody cares about that. They just want to see us play and they want to see us win. Nobody wants to hear about where I'm hurt, how bad I'm hurt. Nobody cares about that. And I was
nobody
like,
cares.
look at this little girl. Yeah, but UConn did a good job too. And if the odds are going the way that they're going, USC is going to meet up with UConn, and that is going to be a tough one for USC to pull through. I have to say, because UConn is a beast. They beat I forget who they were playing, but they won by like over 60 points.
Oh gosh. To a team that should not have been in the tournament then, and that's the case.
No, they deserve to be there. That was the first time that team was there, and like maybe it might have been their first time, but that was on their vision board to make it to March Madness, and they did. So they accomplished their goal. But yeah, Juju plays tonight. March Madness continues. The fellas are playing too. Maybe somebody in the chat could tell us about the men's tournament, because I have no clue.
She is not paying attention to the men's.
Not paying attention.
And speaking of the black card, so RNG has cast his vote on who has lost the black card. Stephen A. Smith, he says lost the
That's a
last
good
bit. He said that's a good. You said that's a good one.
That's a good one.
He said he lost his last bit of his black card when he teamed up with Candace Owens. He says, "What a sunken place that is." Wow. Dr. Marilyn, the answer was 1936 with the election of FDR and black folks getting FDR getting 71% of the black vote, which was unheard of at that time. Claudette Perry says Juju. We got some gossip from the unlikely source. Because one thing Claudette Perry doesn't do is gossip. But here she says Juju is said to be dating Jaden Daniels. What do you know about that?
Oh, that's the rookie of the year from the Washington Commanders.
Commanders, yeah.
Yeah. So there was a Claudette, you were so right. I called it. See, I wasn't gonna go there, but since you did, let's go. So basically, after Juju's game,
listen to our Wendy Williams.
After Juju's game on Saturday, she came back out. And she sat next to the young man, and there was like a cute, back and forth together. And then his mama came and sat in the middle of them. And Juju's whole facial expression changed. So everybody was going across social media over the weekend saying, what's the gentleman's name? The young man, the rookie? What's his name? Huh?
Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, Jaden. Everybody was like, Jaden, mama don't play. Because she's apparently his manager. And so, but they had a cute moment. And I'm with you, Claudette. I think there's something there. Because that's the second time he's been at one of her games that I've seen.
How old is Juju? She's about 20 years old, isn't she?
She's 19 years old. 19, yeah. Because she's a sophomore.
Okay. Yeah, she got time.
That's a good catch, though. That's some love in football. It's love in basketball, love basketball and football. That's
now.
Cute.
Let me ask you. Speaking of that, I gotta ask you this. So you mentioned love in football, love in basketball. My wife says that she didn't like love in basketball because the characters and homegirl was doing good. And my man was doing really good. He's gonna be an NBA star, and then he gets hurt. Like he basically leaves her and stuff, and he's messing around doing this, doing that. But it wasn't until he got hurt and lost his career, basically. And then now he comes to her, leaning on the black girl, the black woman, to now pick up all the slack for him. What do you think of that?
I mean, that's how it goes sometimes. And then that's sometimes, when it's true love. After you've been all around the world. Like that song Layla Hathaway sings. I think her daddy sung it first. Always remember, my friend, the world will change again. When your life was low. When your life was low. That was one of them moments.
So he he treated her badly. She loved him for sure. Mike B said, "Come on, son."
He loved her.
He did, or did he just remember that Tyler Perry movie where the guy was just assaulting his wife and just abusing her?
Diary of a Mad Black Woman.
Yeah, then she had to take care of him.
Mm-hmm. And boy, did she take care of him.
Boy, did she take care of him. So I think Sinead was kind of hoping that Sanaa Lathan did that to your boy in Love and Basketball, got the hot grits going and stuff.
No, that was a love story.
It was a love story.
And ironically, that's Juju Watkins' favorite movie too.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm. She was saying there was a video of her, and she was saying that she hopes Sanaa Lathan comes to one of her games because that's her favorite movie. And the
Sanaa
game
better
they
get
played,
there.
she did. So I think
did.
it was a UCLA game. I think Vanessa Bryant was there. Kevin Hart was there. Sanaa Lathan. And actually, one of the commentators from Saturday is being dragged because she was talking about Juju during the game. And she was talking about how Juju brings out the celebrities, and she made the comment saying that Juju had one of the games looking like the BET Awards.
Oh my gosh. White folks gonna white folk. I hate to say that. They gonna white folk. Greer has something for us.
Oh yeah. Mhm.
This message to the one and only Flagey Johnson. If you're not Flagey, you keep on damn scrolling. Now, sis, hold up. I got 11 in the mail. Now, I'm as soon as I show my address, but ain't that you? Ain't that you? That is you. So this letter in the mail, it says, Dear Kiala, congratulations. You are the beneficiary of an extraordinary act of kindness made possible by Experian, who has teamed up with LSU Tiger star athlete and musical artist Flagey Johnson. As part of the Bigger Than Basketball campaign, we are thrilled to share that your outstanding consumer debt on the above listed account has been fully relieved. Your balance is now zero. Come on, let me, clap your hands. Look, let me tell you something. I had this debt I've been had since 2017. It's saying on here, this account was from 2017, and I just knew. I knew in my heart I wasn't paying that. I said, look, y'all have to bonus my good old check because I ain't got no money. I ain't got it. But baby, come on, Flagey. Let's go, girl. And the name of the company is Forgive Co. Forgive Co. Forgive Co. What they said this is a one-time act of kindness. That's all you need is one act. One. Come on. He said I'd be a ram in the bush. And in this case, he's Flagey. Thank you, girl. That's all about. Now this.
So that is awesome, because we and speaking of it was Claudette Perry who put this relationship together with the Black Press and Experian and Flagey. You might remember we had Flagey on last week to talk about that. And so it is so good to see, because what they were not doing. In fact, one of our papers in New Orleans, the editor texted me emailed me and said, hey, who are the recipients? And one of the things Experian was explaining, they didn't put out a list. It was random, and it based on people's debt, on Experian, right? Experian could see that you owe this, that, whatever.
Right.
And so to see, put a face on that, and to see the joy, the absolute joy, even though homegirl said I wasn't gonna pay that anyway, but
Right.
but even to see the absolute joy on her face and the celebratory mood she was in, I could listen. Somebody need to send me a letter saying you don't have to pay
Right.
pay this anymore, pay that. Experian, you got to come our way. But Experian
Right.
has done a tremendous. Listen, I applaud them, not just because they hooked up with the Black Press to get this word out, but simply because of what they are doing. 5 million, and these are Black families. These are Black folks that they're doing it for, and you know how hard that is to do under this climate. Because anything that's targeting for Black folks, this administration that's in the White House is going to try and step in and put the kibosh on it. The Experience that apparently didn't care. And you saw the joy, and I can only imagine. They said $5 million dollars in debt.
Right. When I ran across that last night, I was like, okay, let me check and see. So LSU did win on Saturday. They beat San Diego State a 103
look
to
at that, another
48.
$100,000.
So another 100 grand is rolled over. So that's another reason to track LSU, because the more they win, the more money they put in, Experian puts in the pot, and more people are blessed. And so add LSU to your bracket, y'all.
Wow.
And great work for Flagey.
And that letter came with Flagey's picture and everything. You saw that, right? That is awesome. So Experian doing the work. They're doing the good work out there. That they said that they are going to expand it outside of Louisiana to other places as well. So hopefully it'll be real soon. And hopefully we'll continue to team up with them. They'll continue to see the value in the Black Press and getting the word out. Because we certainly have talked about it several times on this program. We have written about it a few times on blackpressusa.com, and and really appreciated talking with Flo J about that because she really knew her stuff too. That was the other thing. They picked the right person to team up with because she was
Right.
very fluent when it came to financial literacy.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm down for that. But that is great. I'm glad Greer had that. That is awesome to see.
Mhm.
Wow. I like that. All right.
Yeah.
So folks, we will I will end my part on this note. I gotta read what Orangey says, then I'll throw it to you, Neil, to close us out. But he says, I told my wife, please no hot grits. Please use hot crawfish water when she decides to teach me a lesson. This guy is always glutton for punishment, and that's why we love him.
That's hilarious. All right, so we may be leaving, but for the latest in Black news that uplifts and amplifies the Black experience, you can always head on over to blackpressusa.com.
Thanks for watching, everybody.